And the seven. What did he say? He just like. You good? Okay.
Good afternoon. It is so good to see so many of you here today. It's a great day to be Kiwanian. Kids need Kiwanis and Kiwanis needs you. So thank you for coming out. If we can all stand together and say our defining statement. Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world one child and one community at a time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clay, will you lead us in song today?
I certainly will. And in honor of our speaker today, whose facilities includes one of the finest baseball fields I've seen. Really great facility. We're going to again sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." And we'll start at this tone about take me out to the ball game, take me out to the crowd. I need some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I ever come back. Root for the home team. When it's a shame, it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Yay, good job, thank you. John will share our invocation today. Thank you, John, I couldn't find you.
Bow with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the beautiful day that you have given us, the good food of which we have partaken, the good friends that we are assembled with, and the good health that you have given many of us, and the healing hand that you have placed on those who are afflicted with various illnesses. We thank you for all of those and many more things that you do for each of us. Amen.
Buck, can you help us with our guest and our membership welfare?
Well, good afternoon to everybody. Thanks you so much for being here. I have a guest today and proud to have her here. Stand up, please. This is Mandy Baker Queen. She works for NC State in fundraising. She calls once a month to make sure I'm still alive so they can decide whether or not to process my gift. But she does a great job for NC State University. Thank you, Mandy, for being with us today. I have a couple of membership welfare items. Tarver Simmons has been in the hospital. He had a heart procedure, but he is doing real good. So keep him in your thoughts and your prayers. And also Craig Medlin had a knee procedure this week. Keep him in your thoughts and prayers also. Are there any other membership welfare items?
Okay, we'll put the birthdays on the board because I think Buck is trying to pass over that. I think he had a birthday. Oh, it was weeks ago. Oh, he put his check in today. Sorry, I was going to call him out. So happy birthday to all those that had birthday this week. If you have a minute to wish them happy birthday, please do so. I want to thank Sandra for chairing our nominating committee. And so she is going to present the slate for nominations. We have to, according to policy, we present it 2 weeks in advance before we take a vote on it.
Thanks, Stacy. As chair of this year's nominations committee, I am happy to present our nominations for the club board of directors for the 2023-2024 year. If you're here, if you wouldn't mind standing up when I call your name. For president, any guesses? Buck Lattimore.
Congratulations. Oh, we hadn't voted.
Our immediate past president, Stacy Askew. President-elect, June Small. Treasurer, John Collar, and Secretary Courtney Allen. Our directors beginning the 3-year term in October will be Cricket Harrell, Cynthia Ball, and Nathan Brown. I think Nathan's online. There he is.
He qualifies if he can't work.
Thank you to all of our nominees for agreeing to serve. We'll hold a vote for all the board candidates at our annual meeting on May 5th, so that's 2 weeks from today. I'd also like to thank the committee members, Elle Poole, Phil Kirk, Francis Bobby, and Lee Parker for their work identifying such excellent candidates for next year's board.
Thank you, Sandra. Okay, we have a few announcements. Today is the last day that you can sign up for Charter Night, which is on April the 28th, 6 o'clock at the University Club. And there's a piece of paper at the end of the table. Does everybody, or at their table, there's a sheet that says Charter Night. Can everybody find that sheet? If you need to sign up, please do so we can get you in the count. Yes.
It's on the
Yes.
faculty club.
The old faculty club. Does everybody know? So please be there. And remember, on that Friday, which is next Friday, we do not meet for lunch because we're meeting for dinner for Charter Night. So I hope to see you there. There's a great agenda set up and we're going to have a lot of fun.
So just as a friendly reminder again, so not this coming Thursday, but the next Thursday is the golf tournament. It's May the 4th. If you haven't signed up, I kind of wanted everybody to be, let me start over again. If you're going to bring a team, if you're going to sponsor, if you're going to need a sign, I need to know that ASAP so that I can get the sign made. But if you're going to play and bring a team and whatnot, please reach out to me. I'm going to hang around afterwards for a few minutes. So if you haven't let me know by now, you can just let me know. I'll put you on the sheet. So don't forget we've got that coming up. I do need a couple of more people to volunteer. So if you'd like to go spend a couple hours on the golf course in a few weeks and enjoy the beautiful weather, because Robert said it's going to be a fantastically warm day that day. So if you'd like to volunteer, I need a couple more. So that's about it. I'll be around afterwards if you want to ask me anything or if you need anything.
So Andy, do we have a title sponsor? Or are we still looking for that?
We don't. I've asked somebody and fingers crossed they come through, but we'll see. So
but if anybody else wants to while you're here today.
Anybody feels led to be the title sponsor, feel free to let me know. Thank
you, Andy. Is Travis Wiggs with us today? Oh, Robert has an announcement too.
I have a guest today, stand up Zach. This is Zach Miller, John Miller's son, and a wonderful realtor.
Oh, great. Welcome. So Mac Jenkins and Travis Wiggs asked me to announce that we have the Miracle League volunteer opportunity on May 13th from 11 to 2. And on your table, there's also a list to sign up. We committed to having 20 volunteers. We had 32 last year and we did, but only 3 people have signed up. So please look at your calendars. If you can come out and join us, that is a baseball game to help children with disabilities. It is the best time of your life and we have a lot of fun. It's from 11 to 2 and it's at the field in North Raleigh. Okay, Phil, would you introduce our speaker tonight? I have one little piece of trivia while you're coming up. Can you tell me what is the largest college in North Carolina?
That's in my introduction.
Oh, it is? Is that really? You know what? I'm gonna stop. If it is in your introduction, I'm not gonna. Okay. So it is NC State, and students have more than 100 degree programs and more than 580 club organizations to choose from at North Carolina State University. So thank you.
The Chancellor asked me to keep this brief, and I promised him I would, but since we're starting 15 minutes early, I'm going to go ahead and give the 15-minute introduction that I had prepared. Seriously, Dr. Randy Woodson became NC State University's 14th Chancellor 13 years ago. And as you just heard, he heads the state's largest four-year institution with 38,000 students and a $2 billion budget. Under his leadership, NC State has become a lead university for 2 National Science Foundation Engineering Research Centers and 1 Manufacturing USA Institute, and a partner in 6 others. North Carolina State has also expanded to more than 65 industry and government partnerships on its nationally and internationally recognized Centennial Campus. Chancellor Woodson came to NC State from the position of Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at Purdue University. He began his teaching career at LSU. He earned his undergraduate degree in horticulture, and he was out viewing the garden before the meeting and going back later to buy some plants at a discount, I think. But he also got his MS and PhD degrees from Cornell University. Now, I read on the internet this morning that he will be featured on public TV program this week, on this weekend, and I brought 4 copies of the schedule if anybody's that much interested in hearing him again. I only brought 4 copies, and I hope to be able to get rid of them. So if you want one,
probably 3 too many.
John, 1 clown on the program's enough. I always try to share something with you that is not in the speaker's bio. I have discovered that the Chancellor is a talented, some people say, musician, and he plays in a local band named Rode Hard. Rode Hard. 5 or 6 years ago, I introduced our speaker as the 2nd best chancellor in North Carolina State history. That brought forth quite a few quizzical looks, including one from the chancellor. My uncle, Dr. Kerry Boston, was chancellor at NC State in the late 50s and early 60s, so I'm a little bit biased in that regard. Let's give a Kiwanis welcome to the current #1 Wolfpacker, Chancellor Randy Woodson.
Well, that was special. You know, when Buck introduced himself to me and talked about being in the Pullen Society, which is the society of all us folks that put NC State in their will, I said, you know what happens when you put NC State in your will? You live at least 10 years longer. Or at least it seems that way to us. So that's why she's calling every day, just to check in. I want to leave plenty of time for questions because I always find the dialogue most interesting, because I'm not going to be able to cover everything that you would want to hear about NC State. As Phil said, I've just started my 14th year. I came in as chancellor in April of 2010. And I'm very proud to still be standing. These jobs are challenging. They're very political, and they're fraught with pitfalls. And, you know, athletics is one of them. Y'all all got opinions about that. The average tenure of a university president now is less than 5 years. And so when I was hired, the board was anxious to have someone that had a little longer runway, because we hadn't had a chancellor at NC State since John T. Caldwell that served more than 5 years. And so I'm really pleased that I've had that tenure and continue to have it and continue to enjoy it. Although, you know, the days are getting a little, it doesn't take as long to get around the sun as it used to. Years go by a little faster. So I want to talk about a little bit about where NC State is now in terms of our enrollment and some of the pressures that higher education is feeling across the country. I want to talk a little bit about the critical role I believe we play in economic development and how that translates to things here in the Triangle. And then I'll get around to any kind of questions you have, because again, I won't touch every topic you're interested in. So right now, higher education across the whole U.S. is undergoing a bit of a challenge in enrollment. Kids aren't going to college at the same rate they did In fact, this country experienced since the Second World War a steady growth in the percentage of high school graduates that go to college. But the last 3 years have seen the first declines in the percentage of high school graduates that go to college since, literally since the return of veterans from the Second World War. And a lot of that has to do with people questioning the value of what we do. And I mean, I believe that the data is fairly clear that post-high school education, whether it's community college, technical school, or a university, the data is very clear that that has a dramatic increase in your livelihood and your lifetime earnings. So I still believe there's a lot of evidence that that universities, community colleges, et cetera, are worth the investment. And I think they're really worth the investment in North Carolina, because our legislature has done a phenomenal job of keeping the cost of education to citizens of the state affordable. Not as affordable as it once was, where you could literally work in the summer and try to find a way to pay your tuition the following fall, but we have not raised tuition in any UNC system campus in 7 years for a resident of North Carolina. That's, now I say that's wonderful for the students, a bit of a challenge for the chancellor, because it turns out we got a little inflation going on. So we are affordable, and that's a source of great pride. NC State, you heard Phil say that we have 38,000 students. This year for our freshman class, which has all been admitted at this point, we had 41,000 applicants for 5,500 freshman spots. So there's tremendous demand for our university. 11 of the 16 universities in the UNC system are declining in enrollment. Some dramatically so. UNC Asheville, for example, is down 25%. We are not declining, and in fact, it's just the opposite. The state legislature asked us to grow, and this was last year. So our freshman class last year was 1,000 more than the previous year. Now that's a lot of people to put in dorms, et cetera. And the reason they've asked us to grow is because if you've noticed, the region's growing. And if you've noticed, we've got Google coming to town, Apple, Fujifilm Dynascent, just on and on and on, companies that have demand for the product that we produce. And those are graduates in engineering, in business, computer science, and those disciplines that are in really high demand. So we've been asked to grow 40%. That's 4,000 new engineering and computer science students more than we had when we started. And we've been asked to do that in 4 years. So 1,000 new students above the previous year each year. We've already started that, and it's putting pressure on our infrastructure, our residence halls, et cetera, but we're rising to the challenge, and it'll make a difference for the state. I didn't want to agree to this until I understood that last year, not this past year, but the year before, we turned down, and I don't mean this in a bragging way, we turned down 1,600 applicants to the School of Engineering at NC State that had a 3.85 unweighted GPA or higher. That's like 1 or 2 Bs. And I think I heard from every one of them. At least from their parents, because many of them wound up going to Virginia Tech, to Purdue, to Illinois, to Georgia Tech, to a number of places, and they paid out-of-state tuition. So we've got the demand on the front end, we've got the demand on the back end, and we're going to do everything we can to meet that demand for the state. So that's one of the biggest things going on right now. On the economic development front, I'm proud to say that frequently with all of these deals that have been announced by the state, NC State is there at the beginning. One example, a company called Wolfspeed is a chip manufacturing company. Started at NC State. 4 PhD material science and engineering students started a little company when they were PhD students called Cree, located in Durham. And they used chip technology to manufacture LED lights, light emitting diode, the kind of lights that in the old time used to be in your cars and other high-tech instruments. Today, they're everywhere. Street lights are LED. And so they started an LED company that also was a chip manufacturing company. And they sold off the LED division and built up the chip manufacturing division and renamed the company Wolfspeed. Doesn't take Dick Tracy to figure out where that name came from. And to this crowd, I don't have to explain who Dick Tracy is. I was teaching in a class last week and I said, you know, it doesn't take Dick Tracy to figure that out. And all the students were like, who's that? And I said, see this watch? He had one of those before they were invented. Anyway, for the few young people that are here, he was a detective. What was I talking about? Man, I got on a roll. Anyway, so Wolfspeed is an example. And they're investing $4 to $5 billion in a new manufacturing facility in Siler City. So there's tremendous growth in this triangle and triad region. Toyota is bringing a battery manufacturing facility to the region. Fujifilm Dynasynth has invested $2 billion in pharmaceutical manufacturing. Now these companies, you start thinking about it that this just happens. The fact is, we have had a 25-year relationship with Toyota through Nagoya University in Japan. And so when they started looking here, we were very involved in the conversations about coming to North Carolina. Fujifilm Dynasynth got their start in this region by getting all of their workers trained in the Biotech Training and Education Center on Centennial Campus that was started 30 years ago by the General Assembly and Golden Leaf Foundation. So these companies that are here don't just pop up because the governor and the legislature give them billions of dollars, although that does help. They're here because they have a relationship with the state, a relationship with the universities in the state, a relationship with the community colleges in the state. And so education matters, and it's very connected to economic development and very connected to recruiting and retaining companies to North Carolina. And I'm going to end this part by reminding you all, because I'm always astounded at how many people right here in Raleigh have never been on or don't know about Centennial Campus. So this is land that used to be the farm for the Dorothea Dix Hospital. And years ago, you know, every time you had a hospital or you had a prison or any large industrial complex, you had a farm associated with it. They had their own dairy cows and all of that. And so Governor Jim Hunt was under a lot of pressure to take that land and sell it and get it off the tax-free state property rolls and turn it into an economic development opportunity for the region. And he came to Bruce Polton, who was a chancellor at NC State at the time, and said, I'll transfer this land to NC State if you agree to develop it through public-private partnerships, not just for an academic campus, not just for the College of Engineering, which it is now, but for companies to locate on your campus. And that's very unusual. There are very few public universities that can have private buildings built on state land on the campus. And Governor Hunt was wise to say, you know, if you will develop this both as an academic center and as an economic development center, I'll transfer the land. And so I'm going to come back to your party, Phil, a good card-carrying Republican. Governor Hunt wasn't the only one that transferred land. Jim Martin actually transferred more of the Dix Park land to NC State than Governor Hunt did. So it's a bipartisan deal. And since that time, and it was given to us on our centennial, 1987, since that time, we built over 4 million square feet of space for the private sector, not for our campus, that has 76 companies and government labs on our campus that employ our graduates after graduation, employ our students as interns, do research with our campus. It includes companies like Eastman Chemical, LexisNexis. If you're a lawyer, you know LexisNexis because it's the Google of the law world. It does, and all their computer scientists are at NC State on our campus. The easiest way to describe it, there's 6,000 people that come to work every day on my campus that I don't pay. So I think we've contributed to the state, both in terms of working with companies that come here and working to bring companies here and working to retain companies and also doing it on our own campus. And the future of Centennial Campus is very bright. We have a development deal with a developer out of Charlotte called Lincoln Harris to develop a 32-acre tract of land, which will essentially double the amount of space on Centennial for all the companies that we work with. So student are strong. We've got graduates that are out in the world doing phenomenal things. I'll end the latest group of astronauts selected to go to the moon. First time in decades. 4 astronauts include one from NC State, Christina Cook, the only female in the group of 4, and she's a 3-time graduate from NC State. She's a product of this university system in that she started her high school career at the School of Science and Math. She's from Fayetteville, came to NC State, got a bachelor's in physics and another bachelor's in electrical engineering and a master's in electrical engineering. She's already been in space. She was on the International Space Station for 328 days, the second longest of any woman in the history of space, and the first woman to be in an all-woman spacewalk. 2 women that did a very effective spacewalk from the International Space Station. The recently announced chief scientist and the director of the National Hurricane Center in Miami, 3-time NC State grad. So, and just in time for hurricane season. Athletics, quickly, and then I'll see what you got on your mind. You know, it's a crazy world in college sports. And I'm kind of in the thick of it because I'm on the board of the NCAA. It's the worst assignment I've ever had. But I'm the ACC's rep to the board. I didn't want it. But I'm bringing it up here because, I mean, it's just such a difficult time. Name, image, and likeness is changing everything about how student athletes are supported. I believe student athletes should be able to benefit from their name, image, and likeness, but it should be about their name, image, and likeness, not about recruiting, not about inducements, and unfortunately it's become that. The transfer portal, the ability for student athletes to transfer while they're undergraduates. Now, technically, I understand it. The law says that it's an antitrust violation to keep someone from transferring because we let all of our other students transfer. But boy, is it a crazy time to be a college coach. But boy, is Kevin Keats doing a great job. He just has a number 3 transfer class in America. So it's amazing. I mean, 2 weeks ago, oh my God, the sky is ending. And today there are 4 new students coming to NC State from Kansas, from Clemson, from Butler, from Arizona State. It is what it is. But our teams are doing very well. Currently, we have the highest ranking, second highest ranking we've ever had in the Directors Cup, which is overall athletic performance. We're currently ranked 9th in the country. Our women's tennis team is ranked number 5 in the country. Our women's cross-country team won its second national championship. Just a lot to be proud of. Boo Corrigan's doing a great job. Get him to come and talk to you. He's a good talker. So let me see what you got on your mind. I'll hush up. I know the rules of these organizations, and we're out of here at 1:30. Yes, sir.
So I'll tell you to start with, before I get to what you might view as a criticism, my brothers and I endowed a scholarship at State, and though we didn't go there, we endowed a scholarship. We're very proud of NC State. But we've got engineering schools at UNC Charlotte. We've got engineering schools at A&T. We've got these various other campuses where we got a lot of buildings and enrollments dropping. And I thought I remembered that a time 15, 20 years ago where they capped enrollment or tried to cap enrollment at Chapel Hill and at NC State at about 20,000 or something like that. Maybe it's just useless to have dormitories in places where students don't want to go, but how do we make all this work from a standpoint of the best use of our public funds to develop the state as a whole?
That's a very valid question. And I should have said this before, but we're not the only ones that the state has asked us to grow engineering and computer science. It's also A&T and Charlotte. So our 3 universities collectively have been asked to grow different amounts depending on demand. And ours is the largest, but it has to do with the number of people that are applying. So I'll give credit to the Board of Governors and to the state for really limiting mission creep. And what I mean by that is we don't have a human medical school. We don't have a law school, and Carolina does. We have an engineering school and Carolina doesn't. And so the state has been very careful not to invest in very expensive disciplines. And engineering is a very expensive discipline. The faculty costs more, the facilities cost more, et cetera. So honestly, if you're trying to produce more engineers and computer scientists, there are really only 3 or 4 places in the state to invest.
So, yeah, so I don't know if you saw, I'm sure you saw the 60-minute special on artificial intelligence that was this past week. And I've had like several conversations about this in the past week, but I was actually having a conversation, believe it or not, in the sauna with one of your grads, a computer science PhD. And he said, I think it was a couple years ago, it took him about half a semester, maybe the whole semester, to create a Pac-Man game for whatever program he was in. He said that he asked ChatGPT to create a Pac-Man game in Python, I think it was.
Right.
And it did it in like 5 seconds.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So that startled me. So I started contacting some of my friends who work for IBM, and I'm actually I'm concerned because of it seems as if that's going to cause mass displacement of highly trained, highly skilled individuals if this is indeed what we're seeing.
Yeah. So artificial intelligence is going to disrupt a lot of fields. It can write code. And frankly, it also, the new language of computers is not Python or R or SAS or Cobalt or any of the languages that have always been there. It's English. And it's English because of ChatGPT. So I remember I started college in 1974. And Texas Instrument had just come out with this thing called a handheld calculator. And I was so damn excited. And I went to my calculus class and the professor said, you can't bring that in here. And I thought, well, this is going to augment my education. And that's actually what artificial intelligence is doing. I was with an English professor last week, and he told his students, I want you all to write your final paper using ChatGPT, artificial intelligence. And because you're going to use it anyway. So I want you to use it and write it. And they came back and they said, well, it's really helpful, but you spend more time teaching it to get the right paper than if you just wrote it yourself. So I believe what artificial intelligence is going to do for code, for computing, and for writing is it's going to be augmenting, at least right now. What computer scientists tell me is ChatGPT helps them find bugs in code that they've not been able to find. But if you ask it to do something simple, which is a Pac-Man game, which would take somebody months to write the code for, it can do it right quick. But who knows? I mean, we have a National Institute for Artificial Intelligence in Education at NC State, led by a computer scientist named Jim Lester. It's going to change a lot, but I can't tell you at this point what it's going to be. But I know this, we can't tell students don't use it. We need to tell them to embrace it and help figure out how this technology moves us forward. But it is scary. Yes, sir.
As I drive through NC State, I see a lot of fences with a message on them about, I guess it's rewiring the campus in some way. And,
$70 million.
Okay, I'd like to know a little bit about that. And secondly, thank you for the Howling Cow ice cream.
Yeah, it's Howling Cow ice cream, and particularly Wolf Tracks is my greatest contribution to America and all things good in society. So I'm going to tell a quick story. Phil, in his introduction, said that we've had 2 engineering research centers established at NC State during my tenure. And those are big deals because they massive funding from the National Science Foundation. One of them was in power grid technology, which the power grid is going to have to change dramatically. Think about all the electric cars coming. And we've got to make the power grid more resilient. We've got to make it more plug and play. Someday you're gonna have a car that you want to sell power back to the grid. And right now that's not possible. So it needs to be like the internet. You need to take from and give to. And so we actually have developed at NC State the technology for advanced power grids. But it's like the cobbler with the shoes. We had the best technology in power grid, but we had the worst power grid in America because it's old, and our campus has been developed, piecemeal over time. And we had to just bite the bullet and redo the whole thing. And so what we're doing now is we're putting in the smart technology that's been developed at NC State and massive conduit, which will allow us to pull wire in the future for things that we can't imagine now. And it's hugely disruptive. And the reason we're putting all that fence with all those pretty signs up is to keep people from being so dadgum mad at us. Because like today, I was trying to drive where was I going? I was going over to the Student Health Center. And I got there and the road was closed because we're digging up the middle of the road for the power infrastructure. So we had a 20-year plan to replace the power grid, doing a little bit at a time. And I figured, if we wait 20 years, to finish it, it's going to need to be done again. So let's just figure out how to finance this and do it all at once. So we're going to get it all done in 2 years. But that's what it is. And it's not just power, it's a whole fiber, everything you need to pull through campus. We had electrical wires in wood conduit, which by the way is not there anymore. It's kind of rotted. So a single squirrel would take us down for a week. Yeah. Yes.
Randy, I got a couple comments, not questions, but.
Oh, yeah, this is what I'm worried about. Go ahead.
I'll try to be politically right down the middle of the road. Okay?
All right.
Which is hard. But anyway, I thought everybody in this room would like to know this because I was on the State Board of Community Colleges in 1990. I got a call from the registrar at State, who was a duck hunting buddy of mine, and he said, we really need your help with the president of Wake Tech, Bruce Howell, who he knew I was close to him. I did not know this. I just figured all along that you had to have a 2-year college transfer program. Well, no, you don't. But Wake Tech did not have one, and State wanted one. And it blew my mind. I always thought that they would oppose it dramatically. And he said, no, we only graduate 40% of the people that start over here at State. And we think this would help to have people from the rural areas and real close-knit families to be able to have their kids, stay at home and do their first 2 years. So I got a couple of his board members, we went out to see him, and he did it. And then the registrar called me about 4 years later. He said, I want to let you know, not one person that transferred over from Wake Tech, NC State, not one person has not graduated in 2 years. So that says a lot for all of it. But I wanted people to know that it happened. The other thing, you've probably never thought about it, but I've been thinking about it for a long time. I always wonder, and you probably never thought about it, so you probably can't, you can answer it or not answer it, but at NC State versus Carolina and Duke and a few others, they pretty much try to brainwash the students to think to the left. But at State, they don't seem, I've never had one student ever complain to me about that. So, you ever thought about it?
I don't get out nearly as much as you do. We do transfer about 1,500 students a year to NC State from all community colleges, from all universities in the system. And by the way, our graduation rate's not 40% now; it's 87%. And that has a lot to do with the fact that students are more prepared, but also I think we do a pretty good job supporting them. It's kind of hard when you're training someone, teaching them thermodynamics, there's not a left and right to that. Yes, sir.
I'd like to know a little bit about your band.
Yeah.
Tell me about your band and how did you get up with all those left-wing lawyers?
Man, there's a bunch of them. When I was hired here, this was back when newspapers had reporters. They sent a reporter named Jay Price to Purdue to follow me around for a week. That never happened today because they don't have those folks. And in that process, he learned that I played bluegrass guitar. And so when he wrote about me as coming here as chancellor, he wrote about that. And Jim Jenkins was the deputy editor of the N&O or whatever we was called. And so one day after he got up in some courage, he called me to see if I wanted to come and audition for Rode Hard, the band. And I did. And so, yeah, it's a bunch of, I'm the youngest member of the band. And I'm 66. So that'll give you a sense of what our Sunday afternoons are like. We play a song and we talk for about 35 minutes, and we play another song and we talk for another 35 minutes. A whole lot more storytelling than song playing. But it is a bunch of lawyers. Well, I mean, it's like a living being where folks come in and out. We got a couple of doctors. We got a podiatrist. All of us have had foot problems. Named John Fawcett. Wade Smith, one of those good Carolina lawyers, plays with us some. Steve Peterson plays the mandolin. A good NC State graduate, Richard Norton, plays the banjo for us. And we've got a young freshman at Carolina that comes in and plays the fiddle occasionally. And we have to clean up our conversations when she's there. But it's just fun to play music.
Tenure, where is it now and where do you see it fitting in? Maybe I shouldn't ask that.
No, you should. I mean, tenure is an interesting thing because a lot of people believe that it's a lifetime contract. I mean, we fire faculty not every year, but often that have tenure. So tenure is not a life contract. I mean, you still have to perform, you still get reviewed, you still have to meet post-tenure reviews. So it's not what many in the public believe it to be, which is a lifetime contract. What it existed for originally was for academic freedom, to ensure that the faculty that are carrying out work and teaching aren't going to be told what to teach or necessarily how to teach it. I think that, we have a lot of very professional employees at NC State that spend their entire career at our university without tenure. So tenure is not something that people have or don't have, and as a result of not having it, they feel that they don't have job security. The challenge is that it's the standard in the discipline. It's the standard in the world of academia, and you don't want to be the first institution to do away with it because you won't recruit another faculty member. And right now, there's a potential bill that could eliminate tenure. And if it did, right now we have about 100 offers out to faculty. This is the time of year where you're making decisions about your hiring. And I bet you most of those would turn us down if that bill passed. And that's just the people we're trying to hire, not the people we would lose. Because what it does in their mind is not about job security. It says that the state doesn't value what we do. So that's what I think about it. Yes, sir.
So Richard Norton of your band is not only a great banjo player and NC State grad, he's also a UNC law grad. He's a wonderful, wonderful person.
And a great CPA.
And a great CPA. He can do anything.
Or he can do your will.
So this is kind of a difficult or serious topic, but that is, it seems more and more often you hear reports on news about severe mental illness of students and students who die by suicide in Chapel Hill State, et cetera.
Thank you for bringing
So it seems like it may be more prevalent than probably when you became chancellor.
It is.
And so what steps is the university taking to try to address severe mental illness of students as far as identifying, helping them, et cetera? Thank you.
I really appreciate you bringing this up. This is probably one of the most vexing things happening in our society now. And it's not just universities. This starts earlier. CDC just published a report that shows, I'm going to be very quick about this, but I can feel the pressure. the dramatic increase among young people of adolescent to 24 years old in mental illness, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation is overwhelmingly dramatic. Like 40% of the students that come to us as freshmen have already experienced some form of counseling for mental health. You know, I have a lot of people in my life that are mature, and I mean older than me, that, you know, believe where's resiliency, where's grit, where's the coping skills that young people need now, and that's all true. But I would remind you all that young people are growing up now in a very different environment than we all grew up in. The pressures from social media, the pressures that puts on them of what they perceive others to be having a wonderful life that they're not having. It's just, I mean, it's a lot. So what are we doing? I mean, when I got to NC State, we had 8 full-time counselors and 1 half-time psychiatrist. We now have 43 full-time counselors and 6 full-time psychiatrists. And it's not enough. So, you know, it's everything from, look, these are young people that we all went through this or some version of this, that, you know, you leave home, you know, you were a big fish in a small pond, suddenly you're in a big pond, a lot of stress. It's academic, it's social, it's, we've had 5 suicides this year. And so you've read about it. I will tell you though, that that's not actually out of the norm, unfortunately. It's just been very public this year. And it's been hard on our students, it's been hard on the faculty and staff. And so we're doing everything we can to help our faculty and staff through first aid, mental health first aid training, helping them understand when someone's in crisis. It's a lot. But it's a societal issue that we all have to work on. And I'm gonna be done. Yeah, are you kidding me? All right. Thank you.
You gave Charlie Leffler and the department to cross Hillsborough Street with some active development. The hotel, the office use over there has just been a great addition. I think being a partner with the private community has been very successful. Yeah. So as a resident and a business owner, thank you for that. And thank you for lighting the Carillon.
All right. Thank you.
Dr. Woodson, thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to share with us and for being with us. You're welcome to join us any Friday. We'd love to have you as a part of our group. We donate a book to the elementary school. We're going to ask you to sign the front of it. There's a place, and I need to borrow a pen again. Sorry. And we will get you to sign right there. Thank you so very much. Thank you. I want to so Lucy is online. And Hunter is right here. Will you stand up, Hunter? These are our 2 newest members. We'll be doing their induction soon. So please take a moment to introduce yourself and welcome them to the club. I want you to look around and see who's not here. Who of your friends is not here, and invite them. Invite them to be a part of our group. We would love to have them join us on Fridays. Thank you for our guests who came today. So Mandy, please come back. Zach, you're welcome. Love to have you join us every Friday. And I think we have Kathy online. So please come back and join us again. Have a fantastic Friday afternoon. Thank you for all you do.